All right, breaking right now, new report just came out, Washington Post. Federal prosecutors have now interviewed James Comey as they now weigh whether or not to charge his former deputy FBI director, Andrew McCabe, with a crime for his obsessive lying, which is why he was reportedly now fired. It looks like two key members of the deep state, yeah, they're now turning on each other, and this could be the signs of the wall collapsing. So is McCabe and others now finally going to be exposed about their constant extreme wrongdoing? I've said many times on this show, starting in January, this is the year of the boomerang. We'll give you all the breaking developments. And also tonight, according to reports, the disgraced former deputy FBI director McCabe, who, as we said, was fired because of his pattern of blatant lying, he wrote a personal, confidential memo detailing his so-called concerns over the president's decision to fire his former boss and personal friend. Now, McCabe reportedly turned that memo over to, there you see it, Robert Mueller's team of witch hunters, the so-called investigators, Democratic donors, Hillary supporters, to help their efforts. And as you can imagine, the Trump-hating press and their friends in the left, they were very excited. Very wrong, as I'll explain in a second, but very excited. Take a look.
Now we find out that the president wanted to fire Comey on the grounds that he was concerned about the aggressive Russian probe. In other words, he did it to protect himself, to obstruct justice. This is clearly, it seems to me, close to the smoking gun of obstruction.
We have enough information about this president and his attempts to control Rosenstein and Jeff Sessions, and to literally have them protect him from this investigation. I think it is clear that he's obstructed justice.
The question about the president and Comey's firing has always been, what did it mean about the Russian investigation?
Rod Rosenstein is one of the people that Donald Trump has been hammering, you know, that he doesn't trust him and all the such. But if Rosenstein really did try to give him a cover story to fire Comey, I wonder why. I mean, talk about repaying a favor. I'm just saying that's pretty amazing how this is all turning out.
Pretty amazing how dumb my so-called colleagues in this industry are. You know what? It's not a real news story. More lies, more hysteria, more breathless reporting of so-called news. And while McCabe expressed concerns about Trump using a cover story to fire Comey, okay, here's what they're not telling you. The president had the full authority to fire Comey for any reason. He didn't need a cover story at all. Remember, even Comey himself said the president had the right to fire him for any reason. That's fake news. That's hysteria. That's outright lying to you, the American people. Now, this comes after our own Adam Housley reported that McCabe allegedly threatened to take others down with him if he was fired. Get it? They're now turning on each other? Now, in reality, this McCabe memo provides literally no evidence that the president did anything wrong. Instead, the memo does reveal something else. According to the document, the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, I've been warning you to keep that name in your head. He told McCabe about conversations he had with the president surrounding the FBI's Russia investigation and the firing of Comey. Now, this means Rod Rosenstein, again, is obviously a witness to the special counsel's investigation. Witness number one, this very investigation he's overseeing. He's even more compromised than we thought tonight. So how is it possible, again, the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, recused himself over so-called possible conflicts of interest, citing the wrong law and statute in doing so, but Rod Rosenstein, he's not conflicted? Remember, he also signed that final FISA warrant. He put his signature on it. And that was with the bought and paid for Hillary Clinton dossier, Russian propaganda, a foreign agent literally using Russian lies. Yeah, to lie to you, the American people. Just one more wrinkle to Mueller's completely flawed, fraudulent witch hunt. It needs to end. Look at what this is doing to this country. And by the way, you, the American people, have already paid more than $16 million to fund this partisan effort of Robert Mueller. And for what? 379 days without any evidence of any Russia so-called collusion whatsoever. Nothing. And also breaking tonight, we're peeling back even more layers of this deep state. John Solomon will join us tonight. Brand new information, details on serious and shocking abuse of power. You will be here in moments to preview this upcoming bombshell report, which reveals that in 2016, the Obama administration pressured the FBI to ramp up their spying operations against the Trump campaign and the Trump administration. A massive exclusive. Stay with us. Also, yesterday in the Washington Examiner, Byron York highlighted the 2017 congressional testimony from Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson. He told members of the Senate Judiciary Committee that, quote, the FBI had a human source inside the Trump campaign. Okay, that was way back in 2017. Don't forget last week, former CIA director turned CNN hack, director of national intelligence, James Clapper, actually said that Trump should be so happy that the FBI was spying on his campaign. Really? Oh, United States of America or Venezuela? Take a look.
So I ask you, was the FBI spying on Trump's campaign?
No, they were not. They were spying on a term I don't particularly like, but on what the Russians were doing, trying to understand, were the Russians infiltrating, trying to gain access, trying to gain leverage and influence.
So why doesn't he like?
Which is what they do.
So why doesn't he like that? He should be happy that.
Well, he should be.
Why didn't you go to him in the spring of 2016 and say, hey, there's this guy that you never met that we're watching? He would have helped you. Remember, the most exculpatory evidence in the Comey memo was, I didn't do this, but if anyone around me did, I want the world to know. So it's crystal clear that the Trump campaign, yes, was spied on, was monitored, was closely observed by the deep state, which was hell-bent on making sure Donald Trump never became the president. A major abuse of power. It's all unraveling. Now, meanwhile, Clapper, who you just heard from, he's now actually in a really twisted, distorted way, blaming Republicans for obstructing federal efforts to warn the American people about the Russian election interference in 2016. Remember the Nunes Washington Examiner piece 2014? He warned us way ahead of you. Take a look.
There was concern on the part of the president himself because of the allegations of rigging, which the candidate Trump was then espousing, that anything that the president did would be viewed as political, and he would be putting his hand on the scale in favor of one candidate to the disfavor of the other. So I think Ben's exactly right, and my book comports with his account.
Yeah, he says, but not for Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader. Perhaps there would have been more said. Did Mitch McConnell stand in the way?
Well, the Republicans in general did. We encountered reluctance on their part to enter into a very aggressive statement about the Russian.
Wow, Republicans, really, Mr. Clapper, known liar? Maybe Clapper should read this 2016 report from NBC News. They titled it, Why Didn't Obama Do More About Russian Election Hacking? According to NBC News, the Obama administration didn't act because, quote, they thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win and a potential cyber war with Russia just wasn't worth it. Looks like Clapper is fitting right there in at CNN fake news. He gets paid. And, of course, while Clapper, everyone else in the deep state tries to drag this president down, the president has been up to serious business to actually attend to on the world stage. You know, important things like peace, the upcoming talks with the North Korean dictator, little rocket man Kim Jong-un. Well, last night, the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, held a productive meeting with the high-ranking member of the North Korean regime, first time in 18 years on U.S. soil. And this is what Pompeo had to say earlier today.
Today, Vice Chairman Kim and I discussed how our countries could come together and take advantage of the unique opportunity that our two leaders have created through their visions of the future that they have so clearly articulated. The proposed summit offers a historic opening for President Trump and Chairman Kim to boldly lead the United States and the DPRK into a new era of peace, prosperity, and security. Our two countries face a pivotal moment in our relationship in which it could be nothing short of tragic to let this opportunity go to waste. So that if Kim Jong-un denuclearizes, there is a brighter path for North Korea. We envision a strong, connected, and secure, prosperous North Korea that maintains its cultural heritage, but is integrated into the community of nations.
Great news. The president himself, he's set to meet with this high-ranking North Korean official tomorrow. And by the way, that Korean official will be delivering a letter from Kim Jong-un himself. Take a look.
We're doing very well with North Korea. Our Secretary of State has had very good meetings. He's meeting again today. I believe they'll be coming down to Washington on Friday, and a letter is going to be delivered to me from Kim Jong-un. So I look forward to seeing what's in the letter. Hopefully we'll have a meeting on the 12th that's going along very well, but I want it to be meaningful. It doesn't mean it gets all done at one meeting. Maybe you have to have a second or a third, and maybe we'll have none. But it's in good hands.
As the president manages the ongoing negotiations with North Korea, well, he's also been making waves right here at home, and I think good waves. Today, the president pardoned friend of this program, conservative activist, author Dinesh D'Souza. Remember, he was prosecuted under the Obama administration for violating a campaign finance law, one that is rarely ever punished like this. President Trump he is considering a pardon for Martha Stewart and even for the former Democratic governor of Illinois, Rod Blagojevich. And while the media barely yawned over Obama's pardons and Clinton's infamous pardons, they were absolutely spinning out of control because the president is using his absolute power of the pardon. He has the right to do whatever he wants on this. Too bad. Take a look.
To raise questions of whether the president is sending a message with these pardons, sending a message to people like Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn. Those are the obvious questions that are going to come about here.
He's throwing raw meat, a bone to the far right here. Dinesh D'Souza, for over 3 decades, has been an extreme peddler of ideology, far-right ideology, and you have to say hatred.
President Trump seemingly passing out pardons to heroes of the far right almost as eagerly as Oprah once gifted Pontiacs to suburban moms.
We're one step closer to being a third world power as of today. I mean, tariffs and pardons. These are things that we see from banana republics.
The president not only announced he is pardoning a darling of the far right, Dinesh D'Souza, as you said, Mr. Trump added he's also considering leniency for 2 stars of his former TV show, making this White House once again seem detached from reality.
Mark Rich, FALN Clinton, drug dealers Obama. Okay, we don't need lectures from these people. Leave it to the media to totally ignore the massive abuse of power that took place during the prosecution of, say, Dinesh D'Souza. Remember, he pled guilty using straw donors to contribute $20,000 to a senatorial campaign, only after being threatened with much larger charges, bigger charges from a biased anti-conservative prosecutor. Then look, let's take the case of Martha Stewart. Remember, she was found guilty of obstruction of justice after prosecutors tried and failed to send her to prison on an insider trading charge after, well, in other words, she had a stock transaction. They couldn't get her on that, so they went after her for obstruction. And don't forget Scooter Libby, the public servant who had the book thrown at him over an alleged unproven leak when they knew who the leaker was the first day that Patrick Fitzgerald took over the case. These strong-arm tactics to elicit guilty convictions from individuals perhaps who otherwise would never have been charged because they can't get them on the charge they're investigating. It deserves a serious conversation in this country and not coordinated outrage by the hypocritical double standard in the Trump-hating media. And let's just compare all of this to James Comey and Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and Andrew McCabe and, of course, the tarmac meeting with Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton. Remember, they cleared Hillary Clinton of wrongdoing. She deleted 33,000 subpoenaed emails, classified, top secret, special access program information, again, subpoenaed on a private server. She covered it up, obstructed justice by deleting them right there. And then, of course, the acid wash. And then, of course, the breaking up of the devices with hammers. Really? I say free Martha Stewart. Give her the pardon. And compared to former Clinton National Security Advisor, remember Sandy, the burglar, Berger? He stole classified documents from the National Archives. He stuck them in his pants and in his socks. He never got charged with a crime. Can you say a 2-tier justice system? What happened to equal justice under the law? What happened to equal application of the law? What happened to our constitutional rights that we're all equal in this country? Finally tonight, a story from a so-called comedian named Samantha Bee. Listen to what Bee had to say about Ivanka Trump. It'll make you puke, but look anyway. It was on TBS last night.
Ivanka Trump, who works at the White House, chose to post the second most oblivious tweet we've seen this week. You know, Ivanka, that's a beautiful photo of you and your child, but let me just say, one mother to another, do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless. He listens to you. Put on something tight and low cut and tell your father to stop it. Tell him it was an Obama thing and see how it goes, okay?
disgusting, right on cue, be revealed. Just one more blatant example of what we have discussed on this program for years. If you're a liberal in the public spotlight, you can pretty much say and do anything else you want and no consequences. And, of course, the opposite is true for conservatives. We just saw Roseanne's show canceled after the comments she made. But for Samantha Bee, an apology, that's good enough, no problem. She said, I would like to sincerely apologize to Ivanka Trump and to my viewers for using an expletive on my show to describe her last night. It was inappropriate, inexcusable. TBS shares the same parent company as fake news CNN, also apologized, and then they praised their late-night so-called star for doing the same. Look, let me be clear. I don't call for boycotts. I don't call for people to be silenced. I don't want shows canceled. I'm not calling for anyone in the media to be fired. You think Samantha Bee is an untalented, not funny, bitter, partisan, mindless hack like I do, you have the power. Turn the channel. You don't have to watch her hateful show. Sadly, just one more example of what is a blatant double standard in America. Republicans, conservatives sent to the chopping block, and those on the left, they're given a pass.